Yeah, I mean, I really thought that Roswell was one of those jobs that I would seek out, and definitely be interested in when Coach Kemper was fortunate enough to bring me over. Um, I really kind of fell in love with the place right away. We didn't have the success we wanted right away, but we were able to really kind of get in here and make sure our culture kind of started up. And defensively, at least speak on that side, we really tried to hunker down and really do things a little bit differently. When I had gotten here at Roswell, they had some unbelievable talent. They were able to do a lot of different things. When that talent wasn't there, we kind of had to do things a little bit differently, and that's where probably I was best at is coming in and kind of handling maybe not the most talented group, but definitely have a lot of talented high school football players and really getting them to buy in. And again, it took us about a year to get that. But I mean, the second year, I think we were ninth in the state in points allowed. The next year, I think we were second, which is kind of my biggest stat defensively, at least. And then when the job came open, I kind of sat down with my wife and we talked about it. And to me, it was a no-brainer to apply. I had been here 3 years, and the best part about getting the job was seeing that the class that we had last year graduate, seeing them come in as freshmen, know that there was a lot of potential there, and then actually see it come to fruition and really finish with a good, successful senior season.
Yeah, such a tremendous program. So let's talk a little bit about you, though. You played linebacker at Houston County, then went to LaGrange. Saw some interview you did. You weren't necessarily sure you wanted to get into coaching, but then you went that route. So talk about just from being a player to where you are now, head coach of the Roswell Hornets. Is it something where you just kind of embrace the coaching side of it, the game planning, or kind of what motivated you to go this route?
Yeah, I mean, I think that ultimately it's that drive to compete that probably all athletes have. When I finished playing at Lagrange my last senior season, I ended up hurt after game one, and really the only thing I kind of had that I could really fall back on was not only the teammates I had, but the coaches that really kind of invested and said, "Hey, stick around. Come and help us. Do breakdown stuff, do the little grunt work stuff in the background." And that's when I fell in love with it. Just the game planning side of things, I really liked, and I really enjoyed being around the sport. To be honest with you, when I graduated, I didn't really have a plan. I found out I was going to be a graduate assistant about 30 minutes after I graduated with my undergrad. So once that kind of happened, I said, you know what, I might as well kind of put all my eggs in that basket. And let's give this thing a try. And again, I've been fortunate. I've been around a lot of good people at LaGrange, and then at my time at Pope and Johns Creek, and then now at Roswell. A lot of good people that have directed me in the right way. And I think being able to see those role models, see the mentor side of things, and you just want to duplicate that. You want to give back the same way that you were invested in when you were a player.
Yeah, what an interesting year to take over a program. So just talk about what last year was like, just going through that first year, you guys having a pretty successful run and then making it into the second round of the playoffs.
I mean, it was interesting for sure. I don't know if there's ever preparation for a first head coaching job, and then you add the COVID aspect into things. I always kind of give our AD and our county AD a little bit of flack. They never asked anything about COVID, how I would handle a COVID pandemic situation in all the interviews. So I didn't, you got to roll with the punches, and I'm pretty laid back as it is. So being able to you basically got, some guidance along the way, and we would get guidance, and then we kind of have to react to that. So we never really planned further than 1 week ahead, just because we didn't know what the next week would hold, as far as, we started out with 20 people in the weight room at once. We got fortunate the next week we get 25. We kind of inched further down the line, and really, once we got past the COVID screening and the temperature stuff, once all that happened, it was back to normal business. And I think one of the things that our kids really did well is just compartmentalize things. I told them, if you're outside of here, make sure you're safe, make sure you're staying away from anything that you can that would be a hazard to you. But when you're here, let's have fun and let's enjoy it. We may be shut down tomorrow. We might as well enjoy today and really be thankful for what we got and really just go all out today.
And I don't have last year in front of me right now. Was it Alpharetta you guys matched up with in the second round?
Norcross.
Norcross. Oh, sorry. Got it. Yeah, so just talk about, I guess, what I've seen with Roswell when you were there in 2017, 2018. You guys are always a playoff team, and you guys play some wild games, some huge rivalry games, whether it's Milton, Walton, and I mean, these are some of the top regular season games of the year, and you guys are able to consistently, year after year, come away with these huge victories. So what is it just about the Roswell program, you guys being able to show up and play on the big stage?
I mean, I think the first thing that comes to mind when you start talking about that and you start asking about those games is, if you got that pressure, it's a privilege, and that means the people are coming for you. And I think our team embraces that. I really think it's a mentality that I think our team start even in rec football. They got a target on their back for people to knock them off. Follows them all the way through junior ball, and especially when they get to the varsity level. We've had a lot of good players and a lot of good coaches here, all the way back to Coach McFarland and winning his state title, and all the way back to Ray Manus when he won his state titles. It's always been a consistent winner, and I think they feel that pressure to hold that line and be consistent in things. The way we kind of word it is, each team, every year we have a little saying where we're right now Team 72 is the team. So we kind of talk about it as, what is your legacy going to be? Long after I'm gone from here, and long after all these guys have graduated and went on to do whatever they're going to do, they're going to have a story of Team 72, and they're going to have a legacy of that team. So they really have the chance to write that, and we really impress on them. It's up to them. It's really your team, and however we're going to do is really based on how much you want to hold each other accountable, how good you're going to be, how tough you're going to be, what kind of effort you're going to give. And again, those games are fun. You definitely circle those at the beginning of the year and really put a little bit more emphasis on it. You can tell in practice the energy's different. The focus is there every snap and everything. I think when I first got here, when I grew up in Warner Robins, and we had the game down there was Warner Robins and Northside. And, I think when I heard of the Roswell Milton game, I kind of maybe, all right, yeah, it's probably good. It may not be that good. I think the first time I walked out there for that game in 2017, you could feel it the second we were out there for warm-ups. It's just a different feeling. The two schools have so much success. They're so close. And both teams compete at a high level. And again, as far as coaching, you couldn't ask for anything better than that, that environment for our kids.
Yeah, that was the year you guys beat them, and then they went on to win the state championship. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was the next year in 2018.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is what makes not only high school football so great, but specifically just programs like you. I was in Roswell this past weekend. You see the stickers just on signs that say "Beat Woodstock." I'm sure when you go to Woodstock, they have the stickers "Beat Roswell." So, yeah, when you are a kid in that program and you have those big matchups, it does that energy feeds into it. So, I mean, you have a pretty solid non-region schedule that closes out with Walton. Those games have been wild year after year. But then talk about just the region. I mean, you're looking like 5 teams that are going to be 5-6 teams vying for those 4 spots, and really is up in the air. So what do you expect this year in Region 5?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just speak on this. I know that Coach Bruner at Walton does a great job. Him and I are pretty good friends, and I know that they're going to be well coached. We almost treat that like a region game. It might as well be. We play as long as I've been here. We played that game, but our region, I think, is one of probably the more underrated in 7A. We may not have the stars, the accolades, and the Power 5 guys. A couple of teams have a couple of teams in our region have kind of got a good little group going, but the coaching, I think, in our region sets it apart. There's not a cakewalk in our region. There's no team that you can we say we're not going to roll out there and and beat somebody 42-0 and go home. I think the last place team last year we beat by a touchdown because we turned the ball over 5 times. Um, every game really comes down to like any close game, 6 to 10 plays, and we just like to hope that we get on the positive side of that. Our region is really good, and I think it's a good environment. It gets you ready for the playoffs, I believe. I think we've had our region the past couple of years has had a little bit more success in that first round, and I think that's probably attributed to the region play and how tough our region is.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Roswell Milton game. That will be one of the top games, definitely of that week in the state. And yeah, just such incredible track record of just competitive football games. And just what are your, I mean, you've played Milton year after year, so what are your takes of what they have going on over there, and then some of the tremendous athletes that, like that LT Overton kid that is an absolute sack machine, just what they have over there.
I mean, I think first off, when you talk about them, I go to the coaching aspect of them. Coach Clack does an outstanding job with them. They're always well prepared. It doesn't matter if they have a 5-star at each position or not. Every one of those kids is going to play hard, and they're going to give it their all. I know they do a lot of different things that really put you in a little bit of a bind. There's a lot of good athletes on the field. So anytime you match up good coaching and great talent, you're gonna have a tough day. We've been able to compete with those guys, and I think like the last couple of years has come down to again the last minute of the game, stop here, stop there. I don't think anything really kind of warms up for that game. It's a different environment, it's a different intensity. But again, I think as long as we play Roswell football, we'll be in the game and we'll be able to compete. But again, I think if you're going to talk about Milton, I think first you got to the staff over there does a great job. And they really get those guys in the right position. As far as the players go, I mean, the defensive end is unbelievable. Does a good job. He wrecks. He doesn't change the game. He wrecks the game on that side of the ball. The thing that I think has always been underrated with those guys is they're up front, both sides. They do a really good job. They may have a lot of skill guys, but up front is the difference with Milton. They do a really good job, developing the offensive line, developing the defensive line. So it's always a challenge, and it's going to be a good one for us this year too.
Yeah, and they always have great running backs as well. Talk about last year, though. What was kind of the learning process or challenge from going from the defensive coordinator to the head coach? I mean, what changed for you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I learned probably is